Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Wardy's Waffle. We've had a good second part to the week, well a lot better than the first half when up to Wednesday night we had 20 millimetres of rain as you saw from Wednesday night's update. So yeah, pleased we managed to get the sugar beet put in the ground last Friday because we wouldn't have had much chance since. Anyway, just before we get into the contents of this update, just wanted to remind you that next Saturday we are hosting the Lincolnshire Young Farmers Rally at the farm. I'll put a link to that below in the description to the location where we are and all what's going on, a bit of an update on that. So please look at that in the video description and you'll see where to come. And also just to put a date in your diary for those of you who want to come, June the 14th, I think it is our Agri Open Day here at the farm, and we're going through lots of things, and when we get the invite printed I'll put that up as well. But just a date in your diary for those of you who want to come, June the 14th down at the main farm. So what have we got in this week's update? We are looking at the spring crops and the progress of those because they are growing absolutely like wildfire at the minute. I've never known spring crops come through so quickly, but obviously that's because the ground is really warm. We're also going around putting the nitrogen on all the spring crops and all the spring crops except 2 fields of sugar beet up here on the heath where I am at the minute. We're also putting all the nitrogen on the winter wheat and getting those finished off because as you can see behind me, they're really romping on. And a lot of our winter wheats are in really good condition, such as this one behind me after oats. After beans are looking really good, but 1 or 2 of them in this update you'll see that we planted on, I think it was November the 11th in a weekend. They actually went in well, but the headlands and outsides of the fields are sort of were compacted, obviously looking at what we've got now, and so they're not looking quite so good. So a bit of a mixed bag, but generally I'm quite pleased with how the wheats are looking. Got Nala, you can hear having a bit of a play. Anyway, so we're looking at that. We're also, getting ready for the Young Farmers Rally. We are cutting the grass as well, but we had a bit of a problem with our Kubota mower, and you'll see what we do with that. So thanks very much for watching. I'm just going to touch on next week as well on Wednesday night what's going on in Holland, because it's absolutely appalling what the Dutch farmers are going through. The government is selling their farms from under their feet, even though they own it, and the EU have actually approved it. So I want to touch on this a bit on Wednesday night because I just think it's absolutely appalling. But anyway, let's crack on with this week's update, and if you make it to the end, we'll see you then. I'm just in Lincoln, and there's a guy here walking up the pavement with a knapsack on his back. I'm just going to ask him what he's spraying. That's great to see. We're still reverting to this. We're using this method much better than not using anything and let everything grow. I've just been to a breakfast meeting or breakfast club meeting in Lincoln. Some of you who've watched my videos before know I belong a breakfast club, and that's what I'm doing in Lincoln at the minute, and my turn to organise a speaker or visit for the next one in September. Anyway, I've just been talking to the guy spraying. He didn't want to do anything on video, but he works for Mighty, I think they call the company, and he's not working for the council or doing council work. He's just with this Premier Inn building, and he's just spraying around, and he was using glyphosate as a thought. He was using a product called Gallop, an environmentally or amenity friendly one, and it's 360 grams per litre of glyphosate, just the same as the one that we use, but obviously it's a slightly different name. But yeah, I just said it's great that he's doing this sort of thing, and what's his views on it when people don't like glyphosate or say it should be banned, and he said it's absolutely rubbish. He actually said to me it's the most environmentally product around, and if it wasn't for glyphosate there would be food shortages, which there would, because we'd have to use alternative methods of weed control, which wouldn't be financially viable. So and he's actually tested. He's got his PA1, which is chemical handling, and he's got his PA6, which is his knapsack test. So it shows he has to go through all the proper procedure and regulations, just like we do. But yeah, I thought it was interesting talking to him. Just having another look around some of the spring crops, and I must say I've never known spring crops actually germinate and come through the ground so quickly after putting them in the ground after planting. It's absolutely incredible how quick they are, and this is what I know farmers in Scotland have said, that when I was moaning on social media about the weather, and I know they were saying, I don't know what you southerners are worried about, we never plant any crops until May, so you'll be fine. And yeah, they've come through the ground in about a week, so it's really interesting to see. But these are a crop of oats, and these are the naked oats that we put in that go mainly for pet food. So I'll just turn the camera around and you can just see how well these have come through. So a lovely bright sunny day. It's Thursday afternoon. I don't know whether it shows up down there. Planted about 90 kilos a hectare, and that equates to a seed rate, I think, of about 350 seeds a square metre, because they're a very, very light seed. They're a very low 1,000 grain weight. So I think that's what memory it is. So yeah, you can see there looking good. We're just going around putting the final nitrogen on all these crops now. And in fact, I think Reuben is just through there. There he is. In the field of oats that we direct drilled. They were stubble through there, and we direct drilled straight into them with our Simba drill. There's Reuben just finished that field, now heading back round to the Bowser to fill up. But coming through quite well. You can see we haven't rolled anything this spring, it was just too wet. Our rolls are quite heavy. We've got a set of Dalbo rolls. These are they. When we're using them, this is from the autumn, but they are quite heavy, and they can actually consolidate it too much, and then it compacts it and caps the soil surface, and the germination isn't very good. Just a bit concerned, we've got quite a lot of cleavers here, just large cleavers coming. If you remember, this field was sprayed with glyphosate. A bit disappointed with this, I need to be careful of these. You can see some of these weeds are picking up the DFF that we put on, diflufenican, after we planted the crop. You can just see it going yellow in the middle. One or two leaves, that shows it's picking up the chemical. This area just here is where there was a huge amount of green stuff growing, where we had the sludge heap, and when we sprayed it off about a month ago. And I don't think the germination's quite as good where there's been a lot of growth growing. You can see this is the glyphosate that's killed it. A lot of green stuff here that's dead, or was green here, and this is what it looked like when we sprayed it. And I do know from before, you can get this allelopathic effect, as it's known, where the toxins from these roots decaying emit this the roots emit a toxin that then stops the other plants from germinating quite so well. Just see here as well, lots of dead matter, but I mean, it just shows glyphosate's working. Without glyphosate, I don't know how we'd have controlled this. All this would have been growing amongst the oats and caused us a problem. So again, you know, I'm always saying it, but I don't mind repeating it. Without glyphosate, we'd be a lot worse off. We'd have glyphosate helps the environment, it helps wildlife, and it also protects our food supply. So here they are putting some more nitrogen in the sprayer. Really useful bales of this. One of the best things we have on the farm. So it comes out the valve there, through here, through there, and up into the tank. Pump through. 3-inch pipe work to make it quick. And here's all the valves. Take it to the front tank, back tank, vice versa, and then this is the side tubes. So the left tube is the main tank. Right tube, 5,000 litres. That's for the front tank, which is they're all separate compartments. So that's that one. 5,000 litres from there to there, and from there to where it starts to get green is about 12,000, I think. See the nitrogen coming out the double bars there. So you can see it's on the far side, but not on here, because there we are, gradually coming on. There we go, full on now, because it was done from this side. That was a DPS. Dribble bars really put it on well, and we're so pleased we're on liquid nitrogen now rather than solids, because you get breezing and you get striping, what we used to do. The amount of nitrogen we're putting on here is 70 kilos a hectare. It had 50 when we put the glyphosate on, Nala, excuse me, Nala, come here, come on, good girl, good girl. So altogether it'll have 120 kilograms of hectare of nitrogen for oats. But I apologise if I haven't given that in imperial, because I do try and give everything imperial for viewers of this channel from abroad and everybody who doesn't do metric. But the problem is there's so many different ways of sort of saying how much nitrogen you put on. In kilograms a hectare as we do, units an acre, hundredweight an acre, units a hectare, hundredweight a hectare. Which I can't get my head around when you mix imperial and metric. But anyway, so I apologise for that. Those of you who want to know what it is in your language, you'll just have to convert it. So I'm just across the field from where we've just been, Ruben, putting the fertiliser on. And this is a field of wheat that was beans last year, but look at the rut here. And this field, we just used the Express shallow, as it was beans last year, and most of the field's great, but it's just the headlands and the corners. And we've made a right mess there, so that's going to need a bit of rectifying, but it just shows how wet it is and the damage we can do when the conditions aren't dead right. So it's now Thursday evening, back into Lincoln, and at the Lincolnshire Showground just had a council meeting and just talking about the preparations for the show. This is the Lincolnshire Showground. Great venue, you can see, looking stunning, and the show this year is on June the 21st and the 22nd, so please do come along here if you're interested in seeing it. Lots of trade stands, over 350 trade stands, so a really good show to come to, so do come along if you're interested in this sort of thing. It's Thursday evening and we've finished getting the fertiliser on the spring crops. We needed the wide wheels just to firm it up, so this is the last time we're changing these. So, and this has still got the borrowed Manitou. So these wheels just fill the gap where there's no corn drilled, but of course they make more mess. So we've got one or two soft areas in some wheats that aren't brilliant, so we'll just have to hope it doesn't sink in too much. It's a bit of a job though, doing underneath here, because the axles we've got to move in and out and they often bind. So we have to take the track rod ends off and put different ones on. So that's it. We don't have to do that with the new sprayer though, thank goodness. So this is the front axle, and you can see there the axle is slid out. You can see where the holes were when it was on the wider wheels. So we need to do that with the back axle. So to slide it out, put the forklift underneath and just put a clamp on and lift up. There we go, straight out. As I say, we won't have to do this with the new sprayer, because we're going to have the centres welded in on the right place on the row crops. Here the centre, the rims, and then the same on the wide tyres, welded in differently, so we won't have any of this axle problem. Then we should be able to change all four wheels in about 20 minutes, half an hour. So Ruben and Tom are just getting ready for the last nitrogen application on the wheats, on the winter wheats. It's Friday morning, just getting the bowser filled up and sprayer filled up, getting all ready. Plans you've just seen me do, but just Ruben's just put them in the cab on the memory stick. So the tanks, can't quite see the level of the tanks, but they're not. There might be one level there. They're not full by any means. We're waiting for one load to come, and not sure whether that'll be today or not, and that'll be enough then to do everything we need this year. Hand wash as well here, because liquid fertiliser is always sticky. So Ruben's just checking his plans. So we do paper versions as well, because it's easy just to check your fields and things. And Tom's got a set here in the fast track with the Bowser, so that there we go. So that when Ruben's actually spraying the thing. Tom knows what he needs for each field and can just help plan it a bit. Ruben's just heading out back to the fields now to get started. While anyway, new sprayer should be arriving hopefully in the next week or so. So this part of the field, you've seen it before, was not good. It was planted in, I think it was the 11th of November on that weekend, along with some other ones. So we've got a bare patch here because it's been wet all winter. Ruben's just up putting the liquid fertiliser, the last one on the wheats, on the trials as well there. The taller one, that's Agri's trial plots. Nala, come here, Nala. Good girl, good girl. You can see there, coming out. This is why this liquid is just so accurate. And so what we've got here, we've got some trials here, and really interesting. We've got different nitrogen timings and we've got different nitrogen amounts. There's two plots here, and if you look there, between that peg and that peg up the field there, that is where the handheld end tester machine that you saw in one of my videos, I think a week or two ago, that said all this field needed was 85 kilograms a hectare, so that's all it's got. And then we've gone, here is liquid safe, which is sort of a nitrogen inhibitor, and we've applied the usual amount we'd put on second wheats or continuous wheats, which this is. We've put on 220 kilograms a hectare in one application with this liquid safe that's meant to sort of stop it from leaching and help it. So that's that plot, and that had it really early. I think it was early April or in March, I can't just remember the date. So that's one application, and then here, this plot Ruben's just done here, we've put on the same 220 kilograms a hectare, but in 3 applications through there. So that's 220 kilos with 3 applications. That green spot is 220 kilos in one application in liquid safe early, and then we've got that plot there on the left is only 80. So we're going to have some really interesting trials here and some yield information off the combine. The Kubota mower is broken. I've actually managed to get one from Farmstar, so thanks Simon. We're borrowing one, so I'm just putting the trailer on and just going to fetch it. But the tow bar at the back isn't out. Got electric tow bar on this Discovery, so just have to go in the dash here and just press deploy, and then that will bring the tow bar out. Should do. There we go. That's it, lock it in position. The only thing with it is a bit lower than my other Discovery and the older model. And you can see there the height of the trailer. You've got to jump on that to push it on there, which then lifts up the wheels there. So it doesn't tow that brilliantly behind this one. So what I'm going to do is, it's the height there to get it to lift up. I'm just going to lift the suspension on here to get it to come, and that will lift. The normal suspension height, you can see the clearance between the wheel and the mudguard. That's lifted that up on there. So just take that metal and that's locked it on. Just need to get an adapter for the lights, which is that. I don't know why they have these they're meant to be 13 pin anyway. There's only 7 of them in that. You can see the adapter, because that's all you need for this trailer. That's got that on. Funny angle at the side, but that's how it's always been like that, and it doesn't catch on the trailer because it turns underneath it. It just shows it better with the suspension jack right up. You can just see now a lot more clearance between the wheels and the wheel arches. But of course, as soon as I get going on the road and get going a certain speed, it will drop to normal road height. Just pulled up to Farmstar to pick up this mower, and I see there's a Manitou running out here, and lo and behold, it's ours. So that's good. Got it running by the look of it. I've not heard anything yet. I thought it would have been with us by now. See what they're doing with it. This is the mower that Simon's kindly lent us. It's 25 horsepower, and it's got a 1.4 metre flail deck on the front. Just hang on, Simon, let's just look under the... You can see there the flails underneath there, instead of a rotary blade. Got back with the mower, and we'll get it off and then go and try it. Put your foot on the brake, I think, to start it. That's it. Then the deck with that lever. That thing. That's it. That's forward and reverse there. So these are some wheats that were oats last year, and you can just see they don't look quite as vibrant, quite as good as the other wheats you've just seen. And these were shallow disced rather than done a bit deeper, and they've laid a bit wetter, and I think this is another reason that they don't look quite as well, and it's something we need to think about. So we're putting the last dose of liquid nitrogen on. You can see it coming out really well. Yeah, you can just see why it's so accurate, putting it on there right to the end of the boom. We're putting on here these wheats, by the time this is finished, it'll have had 3 applications, and I think from memory it will have had about 190, 200 kilograms a hectare in 3 applications. This application we're putting on 70 kilograms a hectare. There's an old windmill that's been converted into or bolted onto a house. A new house was built next to it and joined up to it. I think it's just been sold, actually. Just arrived at the Newark showgrounds. We've got the county show on here. Happens every year. It's only on a Saturday. It's on one day. So we'll just have a look around 1 or 2 things. It lost its agricultural theme a few years ago, but there's still quite a few things here to do with farming in the countryside. And a lot of people here, of course. You can just see around here now, very, very busy. Andy Guy's talking to a couple of young people who want to join the NFU at the show. Porsche brought the drill, lots of people here. And of course, British farmers are really proud to produce your food. Got 2 Spitfires coming over. Saw one the other day. Look at that.
So that's fair, I get it, I very much understand. So we'll do a couple of longer flights because we want to give him a little bit of exercise, and then we'll bring on another 2 birds to finish up. But also, he's now got different people behind him than one week.
Front of the NFU stand here, and we have got a shiny drill next to us, and I've got Andy Guy here, who is Nottinghamshire County Advisor. So Andy, what's the idea of having this direct drill here?
So we've got a big direct drill here because we're trying to attract attention, I suppose, and have a talking point. We're here at Newark Show to talk about the environment and all the work that farmers are doing to improve their carbon footprints, net zero by 2040, reducing nitrogen, reducing inputs, upping outputs and productivity. And there's a really good story to talk about that kind of stuff. So this is just part of the story for some of the farmers on that journey.
And every year you do a theme, because I remember last year there was a sugar beet harvester park just across there, which got again a huge amount of attraction, and with Newark Sugar Factory just literally a few miles away. And this type of thing brings people in. And have you had some comments in public asking questions about what we're doing and what?
Yeah, we have. I think if we just put posters up and banners and things, you don't have that conversation. No. This has been great because it's a big shiny thing and people don't know what it is. Members of the public don't understand what it is. So it's a conversation starter.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we're standing here by the fence and every so often somebody stops and has a look, and we'll go and have a chat about food and farming and where it all comes from.
And the importance, you think, of having obviously the county shows here, the shows all over the country. the importance of having a presence at these shows cannot be underestimated.
No, that's right. I mean, this is a showroom, isn't it,
Yes,
for us?
exactly.
And I don't know how many people there'll be here, but there's thousands and thousands of people today at the show. And we're
Yeah,
one
and I
of the,
mean,
one of the first
you
ones.
just look here. I mean, here we're near the falconry section just here, which is a great place to be. And as you say, just thousands of people here, and perfect as a shop window.
Yeah, a great shop window, a great advert for farming. And it's not just us, there's lots of dealers here, there's people showing cattle and sheep and things. And we're all doing the same thing, really. We're all explaining what food and farming is all about and where their food comes from.
And I think this what we've got behind us here, this banner there, where it's saying British farmers proud to produce your food. It just cannot be a more truer statement, can it?
That's
Because
right.
it's just fantastic, that is. And I think we see that and the public realise that that's what we're doing. It's great. Now, well done. I think this takes a lot of organising, and just for one day only, huge amounts of commitment and time on you. So well done. It takes a lot of effort in doing it. So thanks, Andy. Brilliant. Thank you. So this is the avatar that you've seen regularly. We had it in our direct drilling demo. Tractors here. Farrells have brought that, so lots of people are getting on that with the children, which is great.
I don't think you can.
Got combine here next door as well, which is really good attraction for everybody to show what harvests the crops and where food comes from as well. So it's a class 8 800 with a 12-metre header. So that's it for Sunday's edition of Wardy's Waffle. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please click like and subscribe. Remember, it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. I'm just stood in one of our beet fields, which I'll touch on in next week's update. This is the beet that was planted, I think, April the 5th, 6th, somewhere there up on the Lightland. As you can see from this clip here, how good it's looking at the minute. The broadleaf weeds, you can see, have been sprayed. Ruben sprayed them 2 or 3 days ago, so they will start to go off. But the problem is now, because the soil is so wet, or so moist rather, that the broadleaf weeds are growing like stink. But also the sugar beet is really what we call soft, so herbicide damage can happen if we're not careful, and it's quite a tricky thing because we need to give the broadleaf weeds quite a good dose of herbicides to control them, but yet a good dose will actually knock back the sugar beet, so it's quite tricky. But as you can see from this clip as well, Nala is helping me do a bit of crop inspecting. Anyway, thanks very much for watching this update. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you midweek.